Hey, welcome back to my channel researchers. In today's video, we are going to learn everything about all the types of variables that are used in the research along with the help of the examples, right? So these are the various types of variables. We are going to discuss this one by one. So stay tuned till end. So first of all, let's understand the term variable. Now, variable is any kind of characteristics, attribute or feature that can be measured, manipulated and it can also be controlled. Right? So, we can say that variable is anything that can describe a person, place, thing or idea. And variable keeps on changing. That is why its name is variable, because it varies from person to person, from group to group and from place to place. Right? Now if I have to take an example of a variable, example could be I have certain respondents. So I have to measure their age, I have to see their gender, their height. So I can measure these attributes, these features of my respondents. So this is the variable of my study. This is the name or this is the meaning of variable, right? Now the first kind of variable in our study is the independent variable. As the name suggests, independent variable influences other variable and it stands alone and does not change on its own. Right? Supposedly we have this independent variable. We keep on changing this variable to influence other kind of variables. So this variable keeps on changing. We keep on changing this independent variables to study its effect on the other variable. That is the dependent variable. Right? Now let's take an example. In this entire video, I'm going to take the example of 2 to 3 variables. Now first kind of variable is the financial literacy. Right? Now what is the meaning of financial literacy? Just a brief of this. Financial literacy means the knowledge of finance. Okay, my one variable is financial literacy and another variable is the performance, financial performance. Okay, how do you perform? Now, let's understand. If I say that my independent variable is financial literacy, okay, so I have to study its impact on the dependent variable, that is financial performance. So, we see or study the relationship between these two variables. This is the cause and this is the effect. Cause and effect relationship is being studied by independent and dependent variable in our study. Right? I hope this is clear to you guys. So next variable of our study is the dependent variable. We have already studied about dependent and independent variable, right? So dependent variable relies on and can be changed by other factors that are measured. That means by the independent variable. So independent variable influences our dependent variable. This is easy. Right? Let's move on. Next type of variable is our quantitative variable. Quantitative simply means in numbers. You can count it. Example could be height, distance or the number of items. This is the quantitative. Now quantitative can be discrete or continuous. Continuous, say income. What is the income of your respondent? So this can vary from, say, somebody could have 50,000, somebody could have 1 lakh, somebody could have 10 lakhs, 1 crore and so on and so forth. So this is continuous. And what could be discrete? Discrete could be age, right? Age could be, say, 10, 20, or you give certain options to your respondents. This is the discrete variable. Next we have is the qualitative variable. That means you cannot count it. The opposite of quantitative variable is your qualitative variable. We can say that it is non-numerical or grouping. Example, eye color or dog breed. Over here we have three categories. First is binary. Binary means you simply ask whether yes or no. Whether the respondents like certain product, answer could be yes or it could be no. Binary means two options. Nominal could be you give certain number of options, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options you give. Example, which color do you like? Which color do you like among the following? Say red, blue, green, so on and so forth. This is nominal because you do not have any relationship. Now next come the ordinal. Ordinal means in order. If I say how much product do you like? One, and you give number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Right? You rate the product. 1 means say very bad. Then 2 means average. 3 means neutral. 4 means good. And 5th means very good. So this is in number. This is the meaning of ordinal variable. I hope it is clear to you guys. If not, then comment in the comment section. I will surely reply. Okay, so next we have is the intervening variable. This is also known as the mediating variable. Mediating variable. Now what does this do is that this variable is used to explain a cause or the connection between other study variables. Let's take an example. Same example we have is we had independent variable, that was financial literacy, right? We wanted to study its impact on the financial performance. That was our dependent variable. Now what I do is we introduce another variable, say financial excess. Now what is financial excess? People having say access to banks. They oftenly go to banks or other financial institutions. Right? So this is my intervening or mediating. This means independent variable depends on this intervening variable and this further influences the dependent variable. So a chain is being made, right? Intervening variable or the mediating variables comes between independent and dependent variable. Clear? Okay. Let's move to another type of variable, that is the moderating variable. Now what does moderating variable does is that it strengthens or weakens the intervening variable's effect. Let's understand this with the help of the example again. We have independent variable over here, right? And dependent variable here. Performance and financial literacy. Now, what I do is that I firstly understand the relationship between these two variables, independent and dependent variable. Further, what I do is that further I introduce another type of variable, say financial access only, access to banking and all, banking and financial institutions. So over here I am doing this moderating. Now when I introduce this variable in the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable, how the relationship changes with the introduction of the moderating variable. This type of variable is known as your moderating variable, when it influences the relationship between your independent and dependent variable. it can either strengthen or weaken the relationship. Clear? Okay, so next type of variable is the extraneous variable. So we usually study about the dependent and independent variable in a study. However, there are number of factors or number of other variables also that influences your dependent variable. Now, taking the same example over here, independent variable, my financial literacy, right? Dependent variable was my performance. Other type of variable that is influencing the relationship, and we need to understand this. It could be, say, age of the respondents. What else could be there? Gender could also be there, right? Now, these types of variables, remember that extraneous variable only and only influences your dependent variable, right? Please note down this. Extraneous variables depends or it can influence only your dependent variable only. How can this be possible? Say we are measuring the financial literacy of the respondents, right? And when we study about the extraneous variables in terms of socio-demographic variables, okay, so say males, or we can say that people living in urban area are performing better than those of females or people not living in the urban areas. So these factors also influence your dependent variable. These are known as the extraneous variables, and these variables can also be controlled, right? Okay, so next type of variable is your confounding variable. Now what does this kind of variable does is that it affects, now let's understand this over here. See, extraneous variables, we've already studied that it influences only your dependent variable, whereas your confounding variable influences both your dependent as well as your independent variable. Taking the same example, financial literacy, okay, independent variable, and here we have is our dependent variable, that is performance. Now confounding variable over here could be your level of education, because my level of education is going to influence both my independent variable as well as dependent. Why? Because education, see, if we keep on increasing our education, my financial literacy is also increasing, okay. Along with that, if I keep on increasing my level of education, performance will also increase. So this is the meaning of your confounding variable, that influences both your independent and dependent variable. Whereas in extraneous variable, what happens is that it only influences your dependent variable. Moving further, we have is the control variable. Till now we have studied about different types of variable, and when you try to control them, okay, so this is known as the control variable, which also remains constant and do not change during the study, right? Example could be you are giving training to your respondents. Training can be controlled, okay. Then another example could be in your sciences, you mix certain chemicals, your chemicals are being controlled or they are being constant, right? Okay, so last variable of our study is the composite variable. Now, very easy. Composite means when you take more than two variables combinedly to make more complex variable. This is known as the composite variables. Instead of taking 1, 2 and 3 variables, we take one composite variable, right, to study in our research. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you have learned and enjoyed this video. If yes, then please subscribe to my channel and like my video. Thank you and